Welcome everyone to another Pokemon Challenge Run video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm attempting to beat Pokemon Red with only a Growlithe. Now Growlithe is one of my favourite Pokemon, and I've been wanting to do a Gen 1 video for a little while, and this run was actually the first time I ever played Pokemon Red in my life. I had both blue and yellow versions as a kid, so I played those to death, but never Red version. As always, I do live stream most of my challenge runs in full on my Twitch channel if you're interested. The link is in the description. And also, for the people who like the border, this is the last of my backlog footage. So this will be the border's final appearance in a video. Farewell, old friend. So the rules for the run are as follows. 1. We can obviously only use Growlithe in battle. We can get other Pokemon to use for HM purposes, and we're not using any items in battle. Gen 1 doesn't have held items, so we can't even use those. Alright, so on with the run. I use a Game Genie code to replace the starting Charmander with a Growlithe, and it's important that we replace the Charmander specifically. This will mean the rival will have a Squirtle. That's the starter that's strongest to ours, which feels most in line with the original game. I name Growlithe Doggo, and we win the first battle quite easily. Growlithe starts with Bite, which is way better than Tackle or Scratch, so this one's a bit of a mismatch. But don't worry, the good times aren't going to last very long. See, I'm worried about Brock, the first gym leader, as Bite isn't going to do much damage to his Pokemon. So I defeat all the bug catchers in the forest, and I double back to face the optional rival battle. I just want to level up before that Brock battle. Now we will learn Ember at level 18, but I'm hoping I won't have to grind that high, so I try at level 11, and, well, you can see for yourself. I'm doing basically no damage to Geodude, and we don't get anywhere close to taking it out. So it's time to grind. And I will mention, while we're grinding in Viridian Forest, I get two 1 in 256 misses in a row. See, Gen 1 of Pokemon had this weird glitch where even moves with 100% accuracy still had a 1 in 256 chance of missing. So do you know what the odds are of getting this glitch twice in a row? It's about 1 in 65,000. So that's filling me with confidence about how this run is going to go. So anyway, I try again at level 14, and I still can't even get past the Geodude. So then I return at level 16, I'm not expecting much, but we do actually knock out the Geodude, so that's really good. But then Brock, of course, also has an Onix, and we don't get anywhere close to finishing that thing off. And at this point, I figure I'm so close to level 18, we might as well just grind the last 2 levels, learn Ember, and make this fight much easier. So once we've got Ember, we come back, and things go much better. Even though Brock's Pokemon do resist fire, they have really bad special, so that means we're still going to do a lot more damage than what we were doing with Bite. And the other benefit is that because Ember is a special move, the Geodude using Defense Curl isn't going to lower the amount of damage that we're doing. It only protects against physical moves. And so just like that, we defeat Geodude with full health. So then the Onix comes out, and honestly, it can't do very much to us either. Brock has gone from being a complete wall to a total joke. All hail the power of fire, I guess. And the next section of the game is a breeze, as we're pretty over-leveled. Upon arriving at Cerulean City, I decide to skip Misty. She has water Pokemon which we're weak to, so there's not even any point trying at this stage. And you will notice the footage jumping around here. This actually happened on the stream. My capture card was having issues. I fixed it up right after this rival fight, so apologies for that. Hopefully it's not too annoying. And speaking of the rival fight, Pidgeotto gets 2 crits in a row and takes out nearly all of our health. Now Abra and Rattata go down without doing any damage, so that's okay. Now Squirtle does use Water Gun, and that's pretty much the worst case scenario since we're weak to water, but we hold on with 1 HP, and we pick up the win. That was incredibly close. Growlithe, good work. So I decide to head to Vermillion City before battling Misty. I just don't think we're at a high enough level yet. And the good news is on the way, we can teach Growlithe Dig, which is going to be a really helpful move for the rest of the run. And once we get to the SSN, we can also teach Body Slam. It's pretty much just a superior version of Bite. And it's also worth noting at this time that Growlithe's special isn't great. Now that's quite bad, since fire moves are all special moves in Gen 1, but he does have pretty good attack, so having powerful physical moves like Dig and Body Slam should be very helpful. So with our new moveset, we obliterate the rivals Pidgeotto and Raticate. They're not a problem for us at all. The Kadabra does outspeed us, which is not ideal, so it does get to attack, but we take it out in one hit. And then the Wartortle, this thing's pretty tanky, so we're obviously not going to be able to one-shot it, and it does hit us with Water Gun, but for a second time in a row, we hold on with an iota of HP, and we win the battle. These rival fights are really close, but we're just managing to pull out the victory every time. And so now, I unfortunately cannot stall any longer. We have to go back to Misty, and we have to beat her. We cannot progress any further in the game until we've taken her out. Now, her Staryu is an easy one-shot with Dig, but Misty immediately uses an X-Defend on Starmie, and that's the worst case scenario. We're having to rely on physical attacks in this battle, like Dig and Body Slam, and they just got a lot weaker. Now, our luck does balance out a little bit as we get the 30% chance of paralysis with Body Slam. Starmie then hits us with Bubble Beam, which I think we should be able to survive, unless she gets a crit, of course. Alright, let's try that one again. So I'm not too worried at this point, as the X-Defend and the crit with Bubble Beam is literally the worst case scenario that we can get, so I'm thinking we just got unlucky. We can do this. So let's see if I'm right. We don't one-shot Staryu this time as I go for Body Slam over Dig, and I really was just testing to see how powerful Body Slam would be. Now, having lost health going into the Starmie isn't great, and Misty again opts for the X-Defend. Not ideal by any stretch. Now, this time, thankfully, she doesn't get any crits, but that just delays the time it takes for her to KO us. We're just not doing enough damage to actually be able to win. So let's try again. This time I use Dig on Staryu to one-shot, so we're at full HP for the Starmie. That's obviously what we want. And Starmie goes for a Water Gun instead of an X-Defend on the first turn, and you can see the difference this makes for the damage of Dig. However, it's still not enough, and after taking a Water Gun and Bubble Beam, we're down for the count. I do try one more time, but we lose again, and I come to the conclusion that this just isn't happening right now. We need to be at a higher level. So I go and grind on the remaining trainers north of Cerulean, and then I return for revenge. We're now at level 27, so Body Slam is a one-shot on the Staryu. That's really good, since Body Slam only takes one turn, Dig takes two. One to set up, and then one to attack. So Misty goes for the X-Defend on Starmie, and Starmie is still outspeeding us. Oh, also, it gets a crit with Water Gun, so we're having fantastic luck once more. This one's a loss. Now the good news is that we are much closer to beating her now, so I consider grinding some more, but I opt to just keep battling her and hopefully we'll get some good luck, which we actually do. Starmie hits Bubble Beam while I go for Body Slam, then on the next turn Misty uses an X-Defend and I finally land a crit. Now critical hits ignore buffs like X-Defend and we take the Starmie out. Finally. So we're enjoying our post-Misty best life when I get to literally the very next trainer. She has an Oddish and it paralyzes us. So because we're now slower than her next Pokemon Bellsprout, it just keeps using Wrap, and Wrap stops us from attacking, and we eventually get KO'd. So yeah, we just got beaten by some random Bellsprout trainer. How will I ever live this one down? But it gets even worse than that, because I didn't save after we beat Misty. Now, I don't want to lose half my money for losing this battle, so we gotta go back to the gym, and we gotta beat Misty again. Now, it does take a few goes, but eventually the same thing happens. Starmie hits us with Bubble Beam, we use Body Slam, Misty uses the X Defend, and then we hit a Body Slam crit to ignore the X Defend. And this time I make sure to save the game straight after beating her. So we're back to the Oddish and Bellsprout trainer, and this time we abuse those Pokemon with no remorse. We reach Celadon City without any real issue, and I decide to return to Vermillion to beat Surge. We're pretty over-leveled for him at this point, and he doesn't really stand a chance against us, especially since we have Dig, which is a ground move. That's super effective against his Pokemon, so this one's pretty easy. Then we go to the Rocket Base to take on Giovanni, and his rock Pokemon are actually weak to ground moves, so we can just use Dig, and most of his Pokemon don't have much of a chance against us. Now the Kangaskhan is a normal type, so it's not going to be weak to Dig, and it does outspeed us, but thankfully it goes for Rage. Now in Gen 1, once you use Rage, you're locked into it until the Pokemon either faints or you switch it out of battle. Now Giovanni's not going to swap out this Pokemon, so it's locked into Rage for the rest of the battle. Now Rage is only doing about 10 damage. If I attack the Kangaskhan, that amount of damage will increase. So I decide we're not going to do any damage, and instead we're going to go for some Leers. Leers will lower the Kangaskhan's defense, and then when we do finally attack, we'll do huge damage and knock it out very quickly. That will prevent the damage from Rage building up and causing more damage to us. At this point, I give Doggo a few Carbos here to boost his speed, and then we go to take on Erica. She poisons us right away, and that's not ideal, but it's not terrible either. See, since we're poisoned, we can't get paralyzed or put to sleep, and those status conditions are probably worse than poison, to be honest. So the strategy here is just to spam Ember. It's super effective, and we're just hoping that her Pokemon will go down before ours do, which they do. Now we did get lucky with crit at the end, and we may not have won if it wasn't for that, but you know me, a win is a win, we're going to take it and keep moving forward. So we head back to Lavender Town, and the rival fight is pretty straightforward. Everything except the Pidgeotto is a one-shot. Now we did get a crit on the Wartortle, and that probably made a difference, but this one really wasn't too bad. So once we've cleared the Pokemon Tower, I decide taking on Koga is the next best bet. Dig is going to be a really useful move, not only because it's super effective against his poison Pokemon, but there's also a chance Koga's Coughings and Wheezings will use self-destruct. Now, if they use self-destruct while we're underground because of Dig, we'll avoid taking any damage, and Koga's Pokemon will knock themselves out of the battle. That's the ideal scenario. Let's see how we go. So the first Coughing just hangs on after a Dig, and it hits us with Smokescreen. That's going to lower our accuracy, probably the worst case scenario, to be honest. Actually, that's not quite true. The Muck then uses Minimize, which is going to raise its evasiveness and make our accuracy even lower. So yeah, the worst case scenario just got worse. And you can see here, we just cannot connect with any attacks. It's so bad that I'm actually worried about running out of PP on Dig. Now we do eventually connect, but the Muck tanks the hit, and Koga also uses a couple of X attacks on Muck, so when it does hit us back, it does big damage. Leaves us on a measly 19 HP. And even better, it poisons us at the same time. Now we are able to take the Muck down, and we even take down the next Coughing with a single hit point left, but then the poison gets us once the Wheezing is out, and we lose. Now we got really bad luck with the accuracy drops and the poison there, so I'm confident we can win this one. We just need to give it another try. Alright, so take 2. The Coughing still tanks the Dig hit, but it responds with a Tackle rather than a Smokescreen, so this is already way better than last time. So we easily finish Coughing off, leaving us in a much better position for the Muck. I hit a Dig on the Muck, and it uses Poison Gas. Now we are poisoned again, but this time we're on almost full HP, so we should be fine. The muck doesn't go for minimise this time, and we knock it out really easily. Now the second coughing also tanks a dig and goes for smog. Now since we're already poisoned, smog isn't going to do anything, and we finish coughing off with a body slam. So the wheezing is out again and I use dig. While I'm underground, Koga uses an X attack. Our dig does about half damage, but when we return to the surface, wheezing uses self-destruct and we're gone. Alright, so that wasn't great either, but the third time is the charm, right? Well, let's see. This time dig is a critical hit on the coughing, so we one-shot it. That's really good. Now muck spams minimise a couple of times, but both our digs still connect and we take it out. So now when we get to the second coughing, we're on full HP and we're not even poisoned. This is the best position we've been in to date. So the third coughing only hits us with a tackle before we finish it. This time when we're underground against the wheezing, it uses self-destruct and blows itself up, this time dealing 0 damage to us. So that's exactly what we needed to happen, and it did. Koga's done. This one was not as easy as I expected. I thought having the super effective move would give us the edge, but we did it. That's the main thing. And after this battle, we do learn agility, so I replace Lear with agility. So then I decide to head to Silph Co and take on the next rival battle. My plan is to try and take out Pidgeot as quickly as possible because it does no sand attack. We don't want to get hit with sand attack. We get hit with sand attack. Okay, cool. Alright, so then I set up 3 agilities against the rival's Growlithe. Now this is going to activate the badge boost glitch. Now for anyone who doesn't know, some of the gym badges give your Pokemon a buff to certain stats. For example, when you beat Brock, your Pokemon get an increase to their attack stat. I think it's 12.5%. Now this is intentional, that's how the game was designed, but because of a glitch, in Generation 1, it does have an unintended side effect. See, every time you get hit with a stat-altering move, like Agility, which raises your speed, or even something like Lear, which lowers your defense, the badge boost gets reapplied. So even though Agility is only meant to be increasing our speed, it will also be increasing our attack and our defense, just to a much lesser extent. Now I won't get a buff to our special until we've defeated Blaine. So with those agilities done, Growlithe is an easy one-shot, Execute is not, and what's worse, it puts me to sleep and then lands Leech Seed. Now that's going to be draining my health every turn. Now I am able to take the Execute down, but we're in a bad spot here, especially with the accuracy drop. I'm able to one-shot the Alakazam with Dig, but it takes 2 attempts to do it because the first one misses. And after the Alakazam, we actually level up. Normally that would be a good thing, right? Leveling up means your stats get higher. But here it's actually a bad thing. See, leveling up negates the badge boost glitch, so our attack and our defense are back to their normal values. Our speed won't be affected because agility is meant to affect our speed, but everything else is back to normal. That's not good. And needless to say, we don't last long against the Blastoise. So I decide to level up on some random trainers. Hopefully this will allow us to avoid leveling up during the battle and having our badge boosts negated. So with that done, let's give it another go. Pidgeot lands a sand attack this time as well, not great. Growlithe actually hits us with a Leer and a takedown, and that does some pretty big damage. This isn't going well. So I try for a body slam on the Execute. I'm hoping to get a one-shot. We don't get a one-shot. It then uses Hypnosis and Leech Seed again before we're able to take it out. This is not looking great. Alakazam doesn't give us too much trouble, thankfully, and we're looking to be in pretty much the same situation as last time, except we don't have the level up. So we try for a body slam, miss, and we get knocked out with Water Gun. That sand attack is proving really annoying. So it takes a few more goes, but we finally get a battle where Pidgeot doesn't land a sand attack. Let's see if that makes the difference. So this time the opposing Growlithe uses Takedown and then uses Leer afterwards. So this reduces the damage we take by quite a bit. Execute goes for Stun Spore and paralyzes us rather than Hypnosis. But the crazy thing is, with our 3 agilities boosting our speed so high, we're still faster even at a quarter speed. And not only that, we're also still outspeeding the Alakazam, which is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. So our speed stat is pretty high right now. And this time we have enough health left to tank a water gun, and I think we're about to do it. 2 digs should be enough. But no, it uses Withdraw. That's going to raise its physical defense, reduces the damage that we're doing with Dig, the Blastoise survives and finishes us with Bubble. We were so close that time. So I'm getting a bit frustrated here, and I decide this battle just isn't happening right now. So I head back to Celadon and I buy some calciums to boost our special. I also catch a Poliwag to teach it Surf, and we're going to head to Cinnabar Island. Once I have Blaine's badge, my special will also benefit from the badge boost glitch, so this will mean I may be able to one-shot the Execute with a fire move, but more importantly than that, we'll be taking less damage from the Blastoise's water attacks. Now the Burned Mansion gives us no problems, and Blaine starts with a Growlithe of his own. I set up my agilities against it. Once again, we want to get those badge boosts activating, and then I start digging like my life depends on it. Now his first 3 Pokemon are all one-shots, so they're easy enough, but the Arcanine holds on with a small amount of HP. Thankfully, it only goes for Roar, which does nothing, and we claim our 6th badge. The Arcanine could have caused us some problems there, but it didn't. That was a beatdown. Awesome. So now let's hit that rival fight once more, and this time we again get lucky with no sand attacks from the Pidgeot. That's what we want to see. We set up our agilities on Growlithe, and now our special will also be getting boosted thanks to the glitch. And you can see the difference as Ember is now a one-shot on Execute. That means no paralysis, hypnosis, or leech seed that we have to worry about. Alakazam is still a one-shot, and so now it's time for the Blastoise. And when the Blastoise attacks us here, you can see that it's doing significantly less damage to us with its water attacks. So this is the difference that badge boost glitch makes. We pick up a solid victory here. However, I forget to heal and to save after the rival fight, and I lose to the very next trainer who has a Cubone and a Marowak. I still haven't learnt my lesson from Misty apparently. But the rival is pretty easy now, so we can beat him soundly again on the first try, and then with full health that random rocket is a joke. Awesome. Giovanni is a pushover, so we'll jump straight to Sabrina. I decide to immediately take out her Kadabra with Dig, as it could deal huge damage if we give it the chance. I then set up my agilities on the Mr. Mime, as it's a much safer option. At least that's what I think. The Mr. Mime turns out not being so safe as I thought, as it does confuse us, causing us to hurt ourselves no less than 3 times, and down we go. So yeah, my theory's out the door. That Mr. Mime is dangerous. Let's try again. Now, despite our bad luck with the Mr. Mime there, our plan is going to stay the same. We're going to use Dig on Kadabra, and we get the one-shot. So out comes the Mr. Mime, and it confuses us again. Now, I'm pretty sure Confusion only has a 10% chance of confusing, so we're getting really, really unlucky here. So this time we're able to fight through the confusion, and we send Mr. Mime back to the depths of misery and despair from whence it came, but we've still got 2 more Pokemon to get through. So 2 Embers take down the Venomoth. It does poison us, but that's not such a big deal when we're this late into the battle. Now our confusion finally ends just as the Alakazam shows up, and that's some good news at least. And while we're digging underground, Alakazam raises its defense with Reflect, so Dig ends up not being a one-shot. However, 1 more dig is enough to win us the battle, and now there's only 1 more gym badge to go. We set up our agilities against Giovanni's Rhyhorn. It does do big damage with a critical hit stomp, but we hold on. And most of Giovanni's Pokemon aren't actually a one-shot, and that's not a good sign. That means we're probably going to struggle against the Elite Four. Now the good news is with Giovanni, he usually wastes his turns with either guard specs or moves that can't hurt us, like Fissure, and we beat him first try. Or is it Fissure? Whatever. Then we've got the next rival battle. I give it a couple of tries, but I'm not making much progress. We're at level 47, and Growlithe learns Flamethrower at level 50. That may be the edge I need, so I decide to go to Cycling Road and start grinding on the trainers there. Then I return to the rival at level 50, and let's see how we go now. Yeah, still not great. And I did try this battle a few times again, but it just wasn't happening. The Blastoise can just do way too much damage, and I don't see any way I'm going to be able to get past it. So I decide to go with a new strategy, and I replace Body Slam with Mimic. The basic plan is to set up agilities again on Pidgeot. I may take a fair bit of damage here, depending on the moves it goes for, but I'm pretty sure Blastoise can one-shot us with Hydro Pump. So from that perspective, it doesn't really matter how much damage we take. Being on 1 HP or full HP against the Blastoise is really the same thing. Now once that's done, the Pidgeot, Growlithe and Rhyhorn go down in 1 or 2 hits each. I then copy Solar Beam from the Execute using Mimic. We then take out the Execute and Alakazam, and I'm hoping our Solar Beam can one-shot Blastoise. We just need Blastoise to either not use Hydro Pump on the first turn, or if it does use Hydro Pump, we need it to miss. So it goes for Withdraw, that's really good. We then unleash Solar Beam, and you've gotta be kidding me. It survives. Now thankfully Blastoise goes for Withdraw again, and we can finish it with Flamethrower. But this battle took a lot of attempts. Like at least a dozen. This has been by far the hardest battle yet, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to be at a much higher level for the Elite Four. So by the time we get to Lorelai, as a kid I called her Lorelai, but I'm pretty sure that's not right. So whatever, the Ice Trainer, we're at level 55 when we get there. I go for Dig against Dugong, knowing that she'll go for Rest on her second turn, because that's apparently what she always does. We then set up 2 agilities while the Dugong is asleep, then we score with another Dig. Now Dugong then hits Aurora Beam for a crit and does an insane amount of damage. Now we do beat the Dugong, but I have barely any health left, and Cloyster quickly puts us away. Now the second attempt goes better, we make it to the Slowbro, but we have very little health again. Cloyster is way too dangerous with Clamp, which can attack repeatedly each turn, just like that annoying Bellsprout with Wrap. It gives you no way of fighting back, and I'm not sure what to do about it, short of leveling up until we can one-shot Cloyster. Now I wasn't too keen on doing that, but the truth is this battle took a lot of attempts. Not as many as the last rival fight, but still quite a few. And I ended up just going for all 3 agilities against Dugong, hoping that would let me one-shot Cloyster. We take the Dugong down and then hit Cloyster with a Dig. Now it's not a one-shot, but the main thing that happens here is that Cloyster misses with Clamp. Now that's needed in order for us to be able to win this fight. We then finish it off with Flamethrower, and then we use Mimic to copy Amnesia from Slowbro. We're able to get off 3 Amnesias, which, combined with our agilities, means we now have 6 badge boosts, which means all of our stats have been increased by a massive amount. And this is more for defensive purposes, as Lapras's water moves will now do a lot less damage to us with our special so high. It still takes 2 Flamethrowers to put away Slowbro, but Jinx is an easy one-shot with Dig. Now here we go. This is the first time I've even made it to the Lapras after about half a dozen battles. Can we do it? Well, we hit the first Dig, and Lapras goes for Hydro Pump, but misses. I think we would have survived that, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to find out. 1 more Dig, and it's over. Let's hope this is the worst of the Elite Four. So next up is Bruno. I decide to mimic Harden and use it 5 times, in addition to 3 agilities. So this is going to give us 8 badge boosts, which is going to be blowing my stats up through the roof. So prepare to see Bruno's team get one shot, unless I level up after the first Pokemon, which negates all my badge boosts. This is not good. Now we are still able to sweep through most of his team without much issue, but the Machamp is the thing I'm worried about. It does a bit of damage, but even though Machamp has good stats, its moveset isn't very good in this game, so we persevere. We've beaten Bruno. He was a lot easier than the last trainer. Awesome. So now it's time for Agatha, and the problem with her is that there's not really any good Pokemon to set up badge boosts against. They can all inflict some combination of confusion, sleep, or paralysis, so this is not good. I end up one-shotting the first Gengar with Dig, and I try to set up my agilities on the Golbat. However, my worst fears are realised when it uses Confuse Ray. But once again, things get even worse as Golbat uses Haze, eliminating all the badge boosts. I think it even gets rid of the ones that we're supposed to get. Now eventually Agatha withdraws Golbat and we take out the Haunter easily. The Golbat then returns and delivers the KO. I try again, having learned my lesson that setting up against Golbat is a terrible idea. So once again, Gengar goes down easily enough, but Golbat still manages to connect with Confuse Ray and Haze. Now we do take it down, but we've lost quite a bit of health in the process. And because of Haze, Haunter is now outspeeding us, and it hits us with a Nightshade. Now thankfully one Dig still knocks it out. I go for an agility on the Arbok. I would have liked to go for more, but we just can't take another hit, so I'll have to settle for one. I opt for Dig and hope that we're fast enough to outspeed Gengar. Turns out that we are, and we even score with a crit, KOing Gengar in one shot. Excellent. So that's Agatha out of the way. She actually wasn't as bad as I thought she might be. And now we've got Lance. And Lance begins with a Gyarados, also known as the Wall in this run. See, because we're weak to water, the Gyarados will always use Hydro Pump immediately. And I mean always. We cannot survive a single Hydro Pump. And because it's Lance's first Pokemon, we can't set up any agilities to get some badge boosts to boost our special, which would help us out. And even if the Gyarados misses once, Flamethrower barely does any damage. And because Gyarados is a flying type, Dig won't do anything at all. We really have no way of hurting this thing. So I decide we need to leave the Elite Four. I head back to the Rocket hideout and I get the TM for Double Edge. Now it's not a very good plan, but it's the best that I have. Now I do battle some Rockets who are still hanging around in here, and we get a couple of more levels. It's pretty crazy to think that we've sent Giovanni into hiding, and these random Rockets are still just chilling out in the base. So by the time I return to the Elite Four, I'm level 60, and taking out the first 3 trainers is much easier now. I save the game and then replace Dig with Double Edge. I need Gyarados to either miss Hydro Pump twice in a row, or I need to score a crit. Now that may sound like a pretty bad plan, but it doesn't take too many reloads before he does miss twice, and I've made it to the Dragonair. Excellent. I set up 3 agilities on Dragonair, and now the real problem with my plan is revealed. See, Double Edge is doing recoil damage, and Lance's dragons will resist Flamethrower. So even though I can knock out his Pokemon easily enough, I'll actually take too much recoil damage to survive until the end of the battle. So it's literally impossible for us to knock out all of his Pokemon with Double Edge. So yeah, the Double Edge strategy, that's not going to work either. So I reload back to the save where I still have Dig, as I think that's going to be a more useful move than Double Edge. So I run through the first 3 Elite Four trainers again, and it's still not guaranteed to beat them, but they don't pose too much of a problem. And I actually run through them a few more times, trying different strategies on Lance. None of them are working. Eventually I get to level 71, and I try something maybe a bit crazy. I use Mimic to copy Hyper Beam. At level 71, I should be able to just survive a single Hydro Pump, but we actually get lucky and Lance misses. We then get extra lucky and score a crit with Hyper Beam, and we one-shot the Gyarados. We're now at full health to deal with the rest of Lance's team. This is incredibly lucky. It may be the edge that we need. So I set up the agilities on Dragonair, and then I one-shot it with Hyper Beam. Now in Generation 1, if you knock out a Pokemon with Hyper Beam, you don't have to recharge on the next turn. So the second Dragonair is also an easy one-shot. Aerodactyl resists normal moves since it's a rock type, so I opt for Flamethrower over Hyper Beam to knock it out, and then the million-dollar question awaits us. Will Hyper Beam one-shot Dragonite? No. No, it won't. Now thankfully he decides to use agility instead of attacking, and was still able to beat the Dragonite. That was really lucky, and it may not come across in the video, but it took over an hour and a half to figure out how to beat this guy, and that was with insanely good luck. This battle was horrific. So now it's time for the champion, and I really hope we can beat this guy first try, because I don't want to go and have to fight Lance again. I use my final rare candy to avoid leveling up during the battle, as leveling up will negate our badge boosts. We then set up all of our agilities on the Pidgeot, and we take it down without taking too much damage ourselves. Now Alakazam uses Reflect and Recover, but this is only prolonging the time it takes us to KO it, and we're never in any real danger. We beat the Alakazam quite easily. Now Rhydon and Arcanine are similar, they go down easily enough, and now it's our old friend Executor. And this thing is the reason I wanted Mimic. I copy Hypnosis, and then I one-shot it with Flamethrower. And the ultimate plan is to put Blastoise to sleep with Hypnosis, so it can't obliterate us with Hydro Pump. Between the previous rival battle and the Gyarados, we've been obliterated by Hydro Pump enough times this run, we want to avoid it for the rest of this playthrough. Now Hypnosis does have a chance to miss, but we get lucky and it lands. I then go for Flamethrower over Dig, even though it's resisted. And the reason I do this is if Blastoise wakes up while I'm underground with Dig, I won't be able to put it back to sleep before it can attack. So Flamethrower is the safer option, and after 3 Flamethrowers, Blastoise goes down, and we are the Pokemon League champion. So yeah, after taking over 90 minutes on Lance, we beat the champion on the first attempt, and I am super happy about that. And so there you have it, you can indeed beat Pokemon Red with only a Growlithe. And honestly, if Growlithe could have learned an electric move for the Gyarados, this run wouldn't have taken nearly as long. It's really crazy how a single Pokemon can cause such huge problems. But either way, me and my fire-breathing boy are gonna call it a day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and a comment, as well as subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.